Howdy all. As you might gather from looking at this character, this is not the character that I created to start my playthrough series of Conan Exiles Enhanced. This is a new character I created just so I could show off some of these smaller changes that were done between the legacy version and the new enhanced version that I think are really super cool, and some of the ones that I think are way less cool. There are likes and dislikes about this particular change at a small level. Obviously, there are huge likes and then for some people, huge dislikes. I don't frankly have any huge dislikes about this change, but I do have a bunch of really big likes. And I talked about some of those obviously in last Friday's Boomer Blows at Games video. You know, the graphic change is just amazing. I am now running this particular version on high settings, with the one change, the lumen has been turned down to low. And I do that because the shadows, when the lumen is medium or above, the shadows are just so dark that it makes like going into a cave or anything like that just almost unplayable, even with a torch. And we'll get into that later on. One of the other things that I think is great about this new particular UE5 version of Conan Exiles is it really does run so much more smoothly for me. And I want to make sure that I'm clear. For me, I play on a private server. This is running on my computer, which is an AM4. So one generation ago as far as motherboards, and at least a couple of generations ago as far as everything else. But running it on high, if you can see it, up there in the upper left corner, I'm getting right now 85, 86 frames per second, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, granted, before I used to get 60, and then as it turns out, I had VSync turned on, and that just locked it at 60, even though my monitor is a 144, or has 144 hertz refresh rate. So I have no idea why it locked it at 60. Now, if I leave this area where I've got all of these NPC crafters around me, my various followers and crafters and so on, and go to, say, even someplace like Sepamaru, where there's an awful lot of other NPCs, I will be pushing somewhere between 90 and 110 frames per second. So there are some really big changes. And again, like I said, this is for me on my private server. I understand that the online servers, the official ones, and also the multiplayer rental servers from like G-Portal, there are still a bunch of issues with lag and a few other problems since the changeover to Unreal Engine 5. And I really hope Funcom gets those fixed for those people. That's not my experience, and so I can only show you my experience. So what I'm going to do is do a talk over some videos I recorded to show off some of these really cool things that are in the game. Like I said, that are little fun things or little annoyances. And so we are going to go ahead and start with the very first one here. And that is the little creatures that have been added to the game in the environment. Ants. Look at that. And not just like ants, like an actual column of marching ants out here in the desert. And scorpions. Not giant scorpions that'll attack you, just regular sized scorpions. Now, they aren't anything you're able to actually attack. They are really just environmental things that look cool. Unlike the rabbits or the vultures or so on that are in the game. Now, this one is a little tougher to see. there are now environmental birds. You can see it there in the middle, that one fluttering around. In addition to the vultures, which have been in the game since the beginning, there are now just birds and even butterflies that just sort of fly around you. It's so cool. I really like this. I haven't seen anything else in any other biome, but I haven't really been out in any other biome in any great capacity. So this here is one of my, it's so small, but it's one of my favorite things. They changed how sorceress spell pages get loaded. You can now stack them. As you can see right here, I have a stack of sorceress spell pages. They're no longer individuals that take up all of your thaumaturgy bench inventory. It was such a smart move. This may have happened back when they made the big change to sorcery a few patches back, but I don't remember it. As I recall, the last Legacy character I played, they were still filling up my bench. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that. But I really think that's just such a wonderful new addition, and again, a small thing. All right, now we're getting into some of the things that I don't particularly like. And these are, like I said, very small annoyances. They're not really huge problems. And I'm not sure whether any of them were deliberate choices. I think they're basically changes that happened when Inflection converted all of the gameplay mechanics of Conan Exiles into Unreal Engine 5. It's not like big problems like the people playing on online servers are having with lag and so on. But I do want to bring them up because they're kind of annoying. And first up is you can no longer change the follower distance. So I've got Luba the Luscious here. It's currently set at 5 meters. I'm going to change it to 10, which is what I usually have for all of my followers. I'm going to click off out of her inventory, and then I'm going to click back into it, and lo and behold, it's back to 5. Okay, maybe it's just a change from 5 to 10, which doesn't make any sense, but let me try going all the way to the furthest distance. I'll click off, and then I'll run away and see how close Luba follows me. She shouldn't be starting until I reach the other side of the river at that distance, but look, there she is. And it's back to 5. You can't make that change stick for whatever reason. And it's just annoying. It's not a huge problem, but like I said, these are all little annoyances. This one is a little bit more annoying, and it has to do with a purple lotus orb. So I'm out here in Sepa Maru. You can see there's App the Dressmaker, who is an armorer, a temporite. And I'm going to use a purple lotus orb to try to knock him out. App is an NPC that usually can get knocked down by one purple lotus orb. Many of the tier 4s are 2. Some of the overseers are 3. But App is just a single one. All you need to do is toss that down. Now, one of the things that I have noticed is that the purple mist itself seems to be much less noticeable. And you kind of have to pay attention to the white dust on the ground to know when the mist effect is done, which will be any second now. And there it goes. And look, App is down to, what, 1% of his consciousness bar? Which is not what they call it. I need to throw another orb, waste an orb, or I could use a truncheon, but then I would draw the aggro of all of those guards that are off to my left. And I definitely don't want to do that. This is the one that I really wish somebody could do something about. How weak the lighting is now. I have 5 hanging braziers on the ceiling, 1 sticking out from a wall, 3 torches, braziers on the floor or on various benches, and this is how dark it is. In Legacy, that would be glowing inside there. Out here, you see I've got braziers on top of pillars, I've got torches on corners, and it's just way too dark. over here, if I've got two of them right next to each other, it's better. Two torches, that is. But look at my character. I'm still too dark. And it's the same with a torch that you're holding. So I bring up this torch, and you see how narrow the cone of light is around me. You cannot explore a cave or a dungeon with this. And it seems to be directional. Look, when I'm really close to something, it's almost like a flashlight directional light directly in front of me. That just doesn't make any sense. Now, I wish the Funcom developers would do something about that and get that fixed. Or I wish that maybe a mod developer would do something about it and get it fixed. You know, the mod developers have really gone to town on either porting their previous mods over from Legacy to Enhanced or creating all new ones. And I'm not a developer or a mod developer. I have no idea how difficult it would be, but I can't imagine it would be crazy difficult to just create like a slider to change the intensity of placeable lighting. All right, to make this a little bit longer, I'm going to show one other bug that I think is a bug. I think this has to be a bug. That could potentially be utilized by some people to make a game mechanic a little bit easier than it should be. And to do that, I'm going to go over here to where one of these adherents of the Outer Dark is, one of the people who can transport you over to the Isle of Sipta. Now that the Isle of Sipta and the Exiled Lands are essentially, you can't call them the same map, but they're essentially available maps in the same server. You don't have to create new gameplays and servers. So this one is right over here near the Shattered Bridge, you know, New River, my base down there. And if you're familiar with this area, you know that oh. It's not there because I actually just harvested it. There's ironstone back there. So I'm going to show you, if I go over to Sipta. Now, normally I just harvested that ironstone a few minutes ago. That will take 15 minutes to respawn. If I go over to Sipta, that's another minor annoyance. You know, when you go into a new brightly lit area, it's like you're coming out of a dark room, and you've got that take time for my eyes to adjust. If your eyes can adjust like this, they can adjust to the darkness, make the torches brighter. Anyway, I'm going to go right back. And now, instead of 15 minutes, look. The ironstone is back. Now, just to show you again that I'm not joking, you know, the ironstone is gone. I just harvested it. You watched me do it. Let's go back to Sipta, which I don't understand why, when you're using this adherent from Noob River, it puts you all the way over here in the western edge of the Isle of Sipta. But that's what they decided. So let's go back to the Exiled Lands again. And by the way, this is really fast. And there it is. So without using the EX word, somebody could just keep transporting back and forth from Sipta to the Exiled Lands right here and harvest a lot of ironstone. Which, frankly, to me seems stupid. Because there's ironstone right up there by the Cavern of Fiends. There's ironstone right up there by the bridge, a bunch of it. There's ironstone right down there along where the river here, the first river comes in to meet Noob River. There's so much ironstone around here that why you would do that to take all the time of transporting back and forth just to utilize what seems to be a bugged game mechanic, it's silly to me. But, all right, no point running all the way back to my base. That said, thank you all for joining me on this particular look at some of the things, some of the minor things that I really like and kind of don't like about the change from Conan Exiles Legacy to Conan Exiles Enhanced. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give it a thumbs down. It's all engagement. It's all good. If I am wrong about any of these things changing from Legacy to Enhanced, please let me know. It's possible that those environmental bugs and birds and so on were in Legacy, but I am kind of an altoholic. I have made legion of different alt characters since I've started playing this game years and years ago, and I've never noticed them. So I really don't think that's the case. I really think that is a new thing. But either way, or if you have an opinion on any of the smaller changes, good or bad, that you like or dislike, please leave them in the comments below. Or comment on anything that we do here at Nerd Caliber, or any questions we have on anything we do here at Nerd Caliber. If you are not a subscriber, please do consider subscribing if you like the content. And maybe clicking on the notification bell icon so you get notified when our new videos go up. That said, do please stay safe, be well, and bye-bye.